Hi everyone, it's Migs here again, and today we're continuing with creating your own personal preference mod. In the third part of the series, we're continuing to set up the world folder with the focus on more overtaking by the AI, more AI traffic variety, and the greater AI variable spawn rate. So with all that said, let's begin. Okay, so today we're going to focus on four particular files. Those are the road look template, the traffic lane, and the traffic rules spawn files. Let's go ahead and open up the base folder. Okay, in there you're going to look for the def folder, and we're going to go to the world folder. Okay, like I said, we're looking for road look, we're looking for road look template, and we're looking for the traffic lane and traffic rules. All right, road look, there we go, it's that one there, road look template, traffic lane, and traffic rules spawn. Okay, so what you do, right click and drag the files onto your desktop. So say copy here. That's the road look template. Road look, do the same, right click and drag it across. Copy here. And we're going to do the same with traffic lane. Drag across. And then say copy here. And traffic rules spawn.sui. That one there. Right click and drag. Copy here. Okay, that's done. We can close this folder. Now what we're going to do, we're going to open these files, Notepad extractor. Left click, drag them into the extractor. There you go. You got all of them. First thing we're going to look at is road look. So what we're looking for here is the no overtaking part of the code. We're going to focus on making the AI overtake basically everywhere when the conditions are favorable. And to do so, you have to manipulate the code so that it doesn't see it as a no overtaking instruction. And basically to do that, you're going to have to alter the code. And how you do that is by, like I told you before, by adding a double forward slash or a hashtag. That will always eliminate any code after that point, so it won't be read. And I'm going to show you a little trick now as well, because this file actually has, if you look down here, it has 1,494 lines. And for you to go through every single one, it's a bit of a tedious job. And certain files, for example, the spawn SUI file has got over 4,000 lines. So it is quite a bit of code to go through. One easy way to do this, to find only that particular code, what you do is you highlight the section that you're looking for. So we're looking for the no underscore overtake code. And you say Control C to copy. Then you click on the spyglass or your binoculars. Click on that and you'll be found with this window that opens up. It says find. In here we're going to say find. I'll teach you later about replace and finding files and all that, but for now we're looking for find, and you'll see that it automatically puts that into the find what. If it doesn't, what you can do is just highlight what you're looking for, copy it, and then in that window Control V to paste, and it will be there. Now we take this back to the top, and we click on the top row and you say find next. It takes you immediately to that section, to the first available code that you're looking for. Now what we have to do to manipulate this code is, before the dot you press tab, which will move it up. Click shift 3 for the hashtag. You do the same with the next one. So tab, shift 3. That eliminates the code from that line of code. So it will read this code up until that point and no further. So this becomes obsolete. The reason we do not delete it completely is because later on you might find that in certain parts of your game you do want the AI to actually behave and not overtake. So you can always come back and manipulate just by removing that piece of code, and you'll be back to the original. And you will do this for this whole file all the way through. So let's go to the next one and you'll see there's another one, and we'll do the same again. So you press tab and then hash, and you click the next line, you press tab and then hash, and so on. So you get the idea. All right, so that is for the road look. I'm not going to go through everything because that will become a tedious job, and it will take too much of your time, but you get the idea. You follow it through, you just keep clicking find next, and it will take you to the next one. There you go. You see what I mean? Keeps on going until you get to the end of the file. So in this instance we have found, I think it's about 10 or 12 of these no overtakes in 1,000, almost 1,500 lines. So that shows you a very quick shortcut to do it. So once you've done that, you can save that file. Right, that's done. Let's move on to road look template. In road look template, we will be looking for the, as well, again, the no overtaking sign. Similar thing, click on the top line, right to the top. If you don't do it, it will start searching from where you've clicked the line. So that's the first one. You say find next. Again, you'll have exactly the same thing. The road look and road look template. Road look template is a recent file that's been added. Because if you look at road look at the end, it will tell you that do not use this def anymore. For new roads, use road look template. So this is an addition to the original road look file, which they've now created a new variant, which I'm sure in future updates, road look will disappear completely. So this is just preparing the whole game, or the coding of the game for future advancements. So that's what this is actually in effect doing. And yeah, got to do the same thing. So you tab, shift 3 for hashtag, and you do the same with every single option that you find on the no overtaking rule. Once you've done that, next, there you see, it happens again. So you just change those ones, you alter all of them all the way down to the bottom. You'll see that this one has, 4,849 lines. Okay, so, and remember, once you've gone through the whole thing, always save the file, and then start your game. Oh, but before you start the game, obviously you're going to have to move it into your mod folder, which I'm going to show you right after this. But once you've done each one individually, don't do them all together, do them individually, move it into your mod folder. What you need to do is, once you've moved it into your mod folder, you got to re-archive your mod folder so that it can be read by Eurotruck. And then start your game and run it for a little bit and see what the changes have done to your game. This will eliminate any future issues. So let's say you code the whole thing and certain things happen in the game that you're not happy with, or you don't like the way it happens. You can always come back. You'll know where the errors are, because if you do too many files at a time, you'll lose track of where you are, especially if you're new to this and you don't really have a comprehension yet of what does what. That's a good tip to follow. Do a step at a time. You'll find it much easier to comprehend or fix any issues that you might have in the game. And remember, everything you do, it's all preference based. If you decide to change something, it's because you want to change it. I'm just showing you the tools and the means to do it. So whatever needs to be changed, you can change it if you want. It gives you an indication and gives you an ability to know how to manipulate the code so that the game works in a way that you prefer better. Right, that being said, let's move over to traffic lane. And in traffic lane, we will focus on the allow overtaking rule. See, now it says the no overtaking again, but this is the data file. You're not going to change that. Okay, what we're looking for is this piece of code right here. Okay, so basically the traffic rule says in this data file, the traffic lane road local, you're allowed to have these types of cars, plus it gives you the rule to overtake allowed or not. If you scroll back up, you'll see that in this folder of the no overtake rule, so certain roads where these cars are applicable, or these vehicles are applicable, they're not allowed to overtake. We want to change that. If you look at this line of code here, traffic rules, traffic rule overtake allowed, allow overtaking, including wrong way. Okay, this is what we want to add to every single criteria. So Control-C to copy. Now you scroll back to this first instruction where it says no overtake, but we don't want that. We want them to overtake. Enter after that one, so you create a new line. Now you say Control-V. Obviously, because you've highlighted from the beginning of the row, it's going to move it up. So just backspace once and it should be there. What we're going to do now is just highlight that and copy it correctly. So Control-C. Right, now we've got this ready for the next instruction. So we just follow it all the way down. You'll see that one's got it already. Expressway. Expressway, you don't want them overtaking on the expressway through the barriers, because that's what will happen here. Expressway is already automatically built in because it's multiple lanes. This local road is normally a single lane. So be careful. If you put that into the expressway, what you're going to have is, if you've got 3 lanes in the on the road, and there's 3 occupied lanes, and you've got a fast vehicle coming from behind, he will literally drive through the barrier to overtake on the other side. And that's not what you want. That's unrealistic. So we leave that alone. Expressway and motorway, we will leave alone. But only look for the local roads. This is still motorway, traffic lane, no vehicles. Okay, there, you can add it if you want. Control-V. There you've added the rule to no vehicles. Slow road. Enter, Control-V, you've added to where slow vehicles apply. Dirt, I don't know if you want to add it to dirt, But if you want to, it's like I said, it's up to you. Normally on dirt roads, you don't get traffic. But if you have adjusted it previously for vehicles to appear on dirt roads, then so be it. Then knock yourself out. You can add it there. I've added it. You don't add it to the train. You don't add it to trams. Here we go again. Local road, no overtaking on trams. There we can add it. Enter, Control V to paste. There's your rule. It's been added. You can see in this one it's already added, because this is a local lane road, local tram, and this is the one for no overtaking. So you get different roads where the trams will appear, but some of them will allow overtaking, others won't. We're just giving the option so it's allowed everywhere. Again, bus transit, but this time it's expressway. Leave it alone, because if you add it there, you'll get buses overtaking through the middle barrier, and it's not realistic. It's not what you want to do. Okay, once you're done with that, save the file. That should be done. Next thing we're going to look at is traffic rules spawn, and this is the one that we've all been waiting for. This has got to do with when the vehicles spawn, how, at what frequency, and at what count limit. So that explained in layman's terms is we got traffic rule for cars, and this is for low density. The L stands for low density. Okay, the rule is density. And this is applicable to cars only. If you scroll down, you'll find it for buses, for trucks, and for all that. We're going to focus on cars, and then you can adjust the trucks and buses according to your own preference. So we don't waste too much time on this video, but I'm going to show you quickly what you can do. The vanilla file, or the vanilla file basically gives you 3 parameters. It gives you 7 o'clock in the morning, which is your peak hour. It gives you 5 o'clock in the afternoon, which is your peak hour, and it gives you midnight, which is your low density. But we want to add additional time slots. I mean, your traffic's not consistent all the way through the day. I mean, you get your highs and you get your lows. Sometimes between, let's say, 10 and 11 o'clock, traffic dips for some reason. And then it picks up again around lunchtime, and then it dips again from about 2 to 4. And then suddenly you got your rush hour from 5 to 7 or 8, depends, in the evening. So you want to create a variety, but because of these parameters, you're limited to the same volume of vehicles all the time. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to just copy over a bit of code that I've got, and I'm going to show you what you can do to alter that. All right, let's add that in here. I'm going to highlight all this. You'll see currently there's only 3 lines of code. I'm at Control V. Suddenly, okay, let's start from the beginning. I've got one for midnight. I've gone for 3 in the morning, because from midnight to 3 in the morning, basically very little variance. Then from 3 till 5, and then you'll see it's on the hour. 5, 6, 8, 10. From 10 to 1, I've got a range. From 1 to 3, I've got a range. From 3 to 5, I've got a range. And then from 5 to 7, 7 to 9, 9 to 11. Basically every 2 hours after that. Okay, but the one that I focused on the most was the 5 to 6. Because that's suddenly, as the light starts to appear, you know, sunrise, and suddenly traffic starts to get a bit more dense. It's just to create that immersive aspect of the game. Right, going back now to frequency and count limits. Frequency means how often that vehicle will appear. And when I say that vehicle, I'm talking about car. And car will include sports cars, will include AI cars, will include whatever mod you have that relates to cars. It will even include those light delivery vehicles, those little vans and that. It will include those as well. All right, now count limit is basically how many vehicles will appear in that cycle, in that frequency cycle. All right, and obviously the higher this number gets, the more vehicles will appear. I like to keep the frequency constant, because that gives me a good spread of the number of vehicles, or the repetition of the vehicles. That's basically what frequency is. The count limit is the number of vehicles will apply, different types of vehicles. So you'd have a mix in, let's go to a high, remember, this is low density. So this will be on local roads, roads where there's not high density. So at my peak time will be 25 vehicles. Just going to delete that. 25 vehicles, and in those 25 vehicles, you'll have 25 different vehicles, not all the same type, but all in the same class. That's what it means. And you'll see it goes from 5, 8, 15, 20, 25. Then it drops down again from 1, 20, 15, and then at 5 o'clock, it peaks again to 25. So we've got a sudden jump from 15 to 25. I did this so that you will notice the change. And if you're driving along and you don't realize what time it is, which happens a lot, and suddenly you pick up that the traffic's suddenly increased, and you look at the time, you'll realize we're in rush hour. That is the whole point of the spawn file. is to create the diversity of creating reality, or as close as possible. That was the low density rule. Right. Now, once you've done the low one, keep in mind you got high density, you got urban, you got local. This will be the high density. And then you'll have urban, which is the U. It even says it there for you. So, and again, you'll see there's only 3 codes in here. One for 7, one for 5, and one for midnight. You want to change that. And if you want to, you can basically highlight that whole section up to 23. There we go. There's 23. So right there, you say Control C to copy. And now on car high, you highlight from number parameters at 5, and you come down to number parameters at midnight. You say Control V. And again, you've added every single code. Remember, the first one you would have to code yourself. So basically, you just copy each code over and you just change those parameters there. And the next one you make it 5 and so on. Okay, so you get the idea. But once you get to the high density, remember that those numbers are now the same as the low. You're going to have to change these numbers. So if this is for the high density one, you want to basically double, if not triple, to create that variance. So going back up here, you'll notice, as I said earlier, the numbers are now the same as the ones we did for the low volume. So you can double or triple effectively to give you that disparity when it comes to traffic volume and increase the limits. But then again, I would also play around with this until you find the feel of what your game's supposed to be like. You know, the way you feel comfortable, the volumes and all that. This is all a matter of preference. You can set these numbers, the count limit, to whatever you feel your game can handle and what you are happy with when you look at traffic volumes. On mine, I've got some of my settings, especially around the peak hours of, let's say, 8 o'clock. I've got some of my settings at 400 and 800. So it all depends on what you want your game to do. And remember, this will also be triggered by your traffic data file with your vehicle number. But we will get to that. You'll see in a later video, we'll tackle the traffic data file, which I think will be the next one. And that, again, plays a big part in how the AI spawn, how they behave, and all that. But you guys now have an idea of what needs to be changed. So I would suggest you go through everything individually. Do the cars, the urban one. Again, take into consideration the higher volume in the urban area, more buildings, more prefab, more models, your frame rates will take a hit with consideration to the impact it will have on other things that you might not be privy to. So yeah, that being said, you'll see here's one for ultra high density, urban high density. So that will be in your city centers. I normally like to keep these ones lower to allow for the frames to take a breather with all the buildings and, you know, the extra prefabs in the game. There's another one, city urban. And then you'll go to your trucks and your buses. Trucks urban. This is quite a big file. But if you scroll all the way down, you'll see each one has, there's your buses. Low, buses high, and then buses urban, transit. And will also apply to police. And then your trams and your trains. Your trains, you see there? Yeah. So play around with those numbers and you will definitely get a different perspective of what the game can do. All right, all that being said, you got to save your files. So save that one as well. Once all this has been saved, obviously these are the files that we were working with. Okay, we can now close this. I'm going to close all these files. You can close them all at the same time by clicking close all. So that's gone. Now we will take and move these ones into our mod folder. Okay, first things first, we don't need the notepad editor anymore, so we can close that up. Now we will go and open up my mods folder. There we go. Go into dev, go into build, and this is where you're going to place these files. So highlight everything, right click, and let's move them here. Okay, you've got this all done now. Right. Next thing you got to do, go back all the way, highlight all of this. Remember, we got to now put it into an archive that SES or Eurotruck can understand. So highlight everything, right click and say add to archive. There we go. You'll see the archive name. We've gone through this before in a previous video. So The 3 rules we got to follow. First rule, it's got to be a zip file. Second rule, you got to change the zip extension to SCS. So SCS. And third rule is the compression method, which should always be store. If you don't do it like this, it's not going to work. And you say, okay, boom. There we got our my mods. And the next thing you got to do is go into your location where you store your Eurotruck mods. That will be in the documents and the Eurotruck Simulator 2 and the mods. And you will see that my mods, there you go, it's there. What I like to do, I like to delete that file at least. Take 2. I like to delete that file, so I'm just going to delete it. It's gone. Now take this one here, right click, move here. There we go. If you refresh it, you'll see it back into the original position. And you can see that the My Mods folder is back to its original form, but with all the additional files in place. So if I close this and I open up the My Mods archive, I'm going to move it out the way. You go back into Dev, into World, suddenly all those are there. All right, and these are the ones that you've updated. Remember, it's not the vanilla ones anymore. Now, once you start your game, you will see that these will be in there and it will take effect. And like I said, drive it, take a look at how the AI behave and what the differences are, and things you don't like, you can always come back and manipulate. And once, let's say you need to manipulate something, you don't have to remove these from here. You can manipulate them directly. So let's take one, for example, one that we've done before, traffic rules. If you double click it, it will open in the Notepad editor. It will open exactly the same way as when it was in its original format. And you will see that this is the one that we told it to the hashtag. Oh, sorry, this is the one that we did the speed limits. All right. If you don't like the way that the speed limits are, you can always change it. Yeah. Let's make this 100, just for argument's sake, and you save it. It's going to prompt you with this. Because it's in the archive format, it's going to ask you, it was modified. Do you wish to update in the archive? You have to say yes. And you'll notice that it's been updated over here. Okay, so bear in mind, you don't have to remove everything to redo everything. You can do it within the archive still. Okay, so I'm going to change that back again just to give you another idea of how it works. Change back to its original. I say save. Keeps popping up on my other screen, but here we go. The same rule applies. It asks you for permission. You have to say yes to update it in your archive, and there again you'll see it's been updated. Okay, and once you close this over here, it's gone. Everything is still fine over here. And if you close this and you open it up again, nothing's changed. Everything's still the way it was, except with the additions. Okay, so this is very basic, very simple. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Any comments, please post them below. Please remember to subscribe and like this page. And I'll see you on the next one. We're going to be discussing some additional things. This time we're going to focus more on the vehicle aspect of things, their speeds, their power, basically the behavior on the roads. Overtaking we've covered now. Now we've got to make them behave accordingly to the parameters that we've set. So if we want faster vehicles to be quick and slow vehicles to be slow and so on. But we're going to isolate these vehicles and give them their priorities on how they should behave in the game. Anyway, guys, it was a pleasure, and I'll see you on the next one.